Hello, everyone. It's Brad Tassell. We are live with 1,000 marriage questions. Is your marriage going okay during COVID? Is your marriage going okay in a stressful time in the United States? It's been another stressful week. I actually got a haircut. That's exciting if you're watching right now. And that was even mildly stressful. Both the stylist and I both wore masks, so that's great. But are you taking care of your marriage at this time? Are you taking care of your spouse? Are you taking care to be pleasant when everything around you else is going nuts? That's the question. One thing that Donna, we'll talk about this when I bring you in, that we've been doing, and you've probably been doing, is a lot of us have a lot of time to dig through all the crap in our houses and argue about what you're going to get rid of and what you're going to keep from the attic. So we'll talk about this. What we found is 20 years ago, my wife and her mother bought about 15 or 20 Barbie dolls, just different Barbie dolls. They put them in bins and put them away. They've never been opened. And I'm like, these could be worth a lot of money. And we had to have a nice talk about which ones we're going to keep and which ones we're going to sell. So, okay, here's the first question of the day. Then we will bring in Donna Wilburn. And here it is, if you want to see. It says, how do you spice, wow, this handwriting's terrible. How do you spice up your love life after 10 years? Well, I know, Donna, think about that and have some good tips as we start.
1,000 Questions is an entertaining discussion of marriage. We aren't telling you to do or feel or change anything about your life. Really, just listen and enjoy. And if you need real help, find a professional for your specific problem. We don't know you. How could we speak to your deal? Okay, have fun.
Yeah. By the way, I did want to tell everybody, if you ever look at my logo, that is my wife and I from the late or early 90s. That's my mullet and her Paula Abdul look. So if everybody wonders, that's not Donna. So although it looks a little like you, people have said, "Oh, is that Donna?" I said, "No, it's my wife." So, hi, Donna. How are you?
Hi, good, thanks. How are you?
I
Good.
am. Well, you know what? I am great and just worn out from the world at this time and worn out from people that are just, I never knew how people will respond to think when people are trying to do better, trying to bring goodness, they're trying to bring an issue to light, and they've so many people just have to stomp all over it and bring as much hate in as they can and say, well, what about you? What? And they just will not get with a program no matter what, no matter what. And it's just exhausting.
Haters gonna hate, Brad.
Haters gonna, well, thank you. That's our time. Haters gonna hate. So yeah,
And therapy's over. Enjoy.
therapy, and that's the end.
There you
So,
go.
but I can't complain because literally, if you look at my life, and we have everything, and we have. I talked to a lady today about people who were struggling and people in Las Vegas. I know comics. I know one gentleman and his wife. COVID has done it 7 years, and it's broken them up, and
Oh,
just the breakdown of their relationship because they didn't have a good basis, and once the panic starts because they've got no money coming in, neither of them can get a job. You guys in Las Vegas and Nevada cannot get your unemployment together to get anybody any money. They've been waiting 4.5 months. They can't get any money. He's got no work. She has no work. And it was too much. They still love each other. But it just was so much for their marriage. And that's why I tell people that you've got to protect that marriage. You've got to protect yourselves, and you've got to look in the other person's eyes and say, what can we do together? You know what I mean? So,
yeah, a stressful time, something really stressful in the family can make it or break it. It depends on that foundation, like you were talking about. It's all about what is your relationship founded on. If it's like sex and she's cute and like whatever superficial something, then it'll break it. But if you got a really good friendship going on and support with each other, you can make it through these things.
well, I think too, and I think you can have the friendship too, but I think if two people are so struggling separately, that they can't help the other one. They feel lost trying to help. And I think that sometimes too, just they look somewhere else to get help. Maybe it's their parents, maybe it's go back home because they're young. And hopefully maybe, you know, as things get better and they mature, they can work it out.
Yeah, I think if you're a good team, you're using each other for support. Like, you know, to support each other. And you'll notice things come out of the woodwork when it's a really stressful time like this, and people are not at their best. Like you're saying, like, we have a lot of stressed out people. So if as an individual, you're not managing your stress and not taking care of yourself, then it's going to mess things up, whether your marriage or your family or your parenting or whatever, your depression. And you do have to take care of yourself and manage your stress, or everything's going to fall apart. I have clients like that right now, falling apart because they didn't manage their stress well.
So, okay, back to this. We've been cleaning out the attic. So do you want to buy the Dr. Barbie? No?
I want it. It's so cute.
Okay, it's $35. So we've been cleaning out the attic and thinking about what we're going to get rid of and not get rid of. And I talked her into getting rid of some of these. And it hasn't been too stressful. The fact that we're not getting to it. It's still, for the last month, the upstairs has been full of crap from the attic that we're just like, oh God, we don't want to get up there and mess with that crap again. And this is just reminds me every 5 minutes. Now, we did keep some. We kept Dana, Scully, and Mulder, Barbie and Ken. Rosie O'Donnell, which I found out recently isn't worth anything. But what we are selling, hold on, time out.
Wait, Brad, what does a Rosie O'Donnell Barbie look like?
No, it's Barbie's friend Rosie from her 90s television show.
Okay.
And then we have Pee-wee and Cherry. So those are the things.
I love Cherry.
Oh, you love Cherry. Cherry.
I love Cherry.
Okay. So that leads right into the question. How do you spice up your love life after 10 years of marriage? And I would say, how about after 30?
I would say, why are you waiting 10 years?
Well, they've let things
slip up all the time.
Yeah, they've let things slip. Let's say they've let things slip. Their love life is really kind of getting stale to the fact where they're not even really doing much. Their lives are kind of separate. What are they doing to get back together, to get back in the sack and get back in the love?
All right. So like right off the bat, I'm going to tell you, because this is how I work, is that's a symptom of something else. So I can't just do this Band-Aid, go get some toys and have a spicy day. You got to look at, how did it even get that way? So I understand it can happen. I would say like marriage retreats, or I would like get a book or whatever. It's not a sex problem. It's a relationship problem. That means your priorities are whacked. You've been spending too much time at work and not connecting with each other. You're probably too stressed out to have any fun anymore and even to relax. So all those things need to change if you want to have a healthier love life.
Well, I'm going to say this.
Fun thing.
I'm going to say this. My wife and I, one time, just for fun, we got a book, 1,000 Romantic Nights, or something like that. I can't remember the name of it. There's 3 or 4. And you ripped out every page was folded with and kind of glued. And you ripped it out and you opened it up, and it told you kind of a fun thing to plan for that person that ended up with sex. So it ended up with sex, either role playing or setting something up. And we really had a good time with that for a while until it got to be too much. It was like, oh my God, now, oh God, it became work. Once it becomes a ton of work, then you're screwed. You got to find, you want to do the work, but not make it too much work where you suddenly hate it.
So healthy couples, like in my head, sometimes I think of healthy couples are like really good friends with benefits. And as a friend, I'm not going around thinking, how do I spice up my friendship? How do I like make this friendship more exciting? I don't even get that idea. when you're in a healthy relationship, you love hanging out with this person, you want to go do fun things together. And the fact that you can get naked and have sex is just like the cherry on top of that lovely time.
Well,
It's not only for that.
That cherry's been gone a long time. There's no cherry there at all. But anyway, so I feel the same way, which is why I have no friends. I haven't.
Might have a problem then.
Well, I haven't.
You have one really good one called your wife, or you wish you make.
I've always said my wife is my best friend, and I think that's and we had another guy say the same thing. And of course, we are not our wives' best friends, even I'm in the top 10. But that's okay.
Not true. That is not true.
Listen to this. Because I see my wife calling her friendships a heck of a lot more than I do. Like with her friends, they do plan stuff together and think about it and put stuff together. They do the same stuff that we are doing in our marriage, basically, or trying to do. I see her doing that with her friends all the time.
Yeah.
Not me.
You have more than one best friend.
Yeah. I'm not doing anything. I've done nothing for you ever.
You have no friends.
I have no friends.
Yeah.
So, but in this, though, I do think that, as you say, it's a symptom of something else, but also to get it back, you just start, planning things.
I'm going to say to get it back, to have your relationship and your love life be all that it can be, would be to start with enjoying each other's company.
Yes. Yeah. It's amazing all the adults that are married that don't enjoy being around each other.
Yeah. That's not a marriage. That
is a rough, just one person's in one room, one the other. You don't see it's almost just like your roommates that are sharing the money, you know what I mean, in the house. And that's
not good. That is not how it's supposed to be. If anyone has a relationship like that, get help. That is not how it's supposed to be.
And a lot of times they're still having the sex.
Yeah, because you know what? A lot of people use sex just as a stress relief, like a drink after work or something, not for the intimacy. And I'm going to say it's more guys than girls, but there are girls too who do just want to have sex to, relax a bit. It does send those lovely chemicals to your brain, but there's a big difference between sex for stress management and sex for intimacy.
Oh, I've gotten that on both sides. My wife and I both we've had times where we just needed to do it. You know what I mean? We needed it. And she's and it happens fast. And then there's other times animal. I saw a puma on my run today. But anyway, there's no 50-pound cat. It was great. And then there's other times when you really are going to spend the time. I told my wife one day that I said, look, really, we're at a point right now in this situation that I don't need this worry about completion. I don't need to worry about these things because that's not the purpose of what we're doing right now, even though it is technically sex. And then other times I'm like, oh no, yeah, we're gonna finish up. So okay, so that leads to, I just pulled another question, and that how do you explain sex to my 6-year-old daughter?
Why?
Sex to your 6-year-old daughter? Well, unless she catches
doing that.
She catches you having it or something. I don't know.
It doesn't need to be called sex then to 6-year-olds. They don't need to know the details of what's doing what in what.
You should. Well, here's 2 cats in a video. Here's 2 guys.
Penetration.
Yeah.
No. Well, what the need for that is for. You can talk about like private parts and boundaries and personal body, say no, and all that, what's okay to play and what's not okay to play. And if they see something confusing, there are ways to explain that without talking about genitalia and penetration and all that. So I don't even know where this is coming from, but like ask somebody talk to this person. I don't know who that is.
Possibly seen or that, and you, I can't even fathom going to talking about sex. That's not even part of it.
Birds and the bees, is that what they're talking about? Because that's like
yes.
Birds and bees, like how to have babies and all that. You can
talk
So
about.
there's the 6-year-old version and the 10-year-old version and the 15-year-old version. Like you
Yeah,
can,
because
if
you're always going
that's
to say there's a baby in mommy's tummy. You know what I
Right.
mean? And obviously, not, well, actually, it's the uterus, and they're not connected. Did she eat the baby? So you're going to explain to a 6-year-old level, but you're never going to explain about the penis goes into the.
not at 6, no.
Even if she would see what are those two dogs doing, you know,
No.
or stuff like that, you're not going to. Well, they're, you know, you explain it to the level without going into depth. So yeah, that one's hard. Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay, next. Okay, wait a minute. Now, I don't know if you can see this. This is.
No.
It says, "Why do the men plant the flowers for wives to water?" I don't even know what that means.
Literal, or is that an analogy for something?
Well, first of
That
all,
literally men plant flowers and women have to water them. That does
yeah. If anybody's out there, please tell me if you know what this means.
men plant the flowers. But let me try to guess. Let's try to guess what that means.
Well, here's what I'm thinking, because it would be the opposite. The men would water the flower, I would think. The
But that's
women,
back to the sex subject.
well, that would be sex. So is there something not sex?
So hold on, let me think. Men plant the flowers, women to water them. I'm thinking like, so in my head, I'm trying to translate this. Why do men buy a house and the women have to clean it? I don't get it.
Yeah, that's better than mine, because mine, the other one, is really flowers. Usually women plant the flowers.
Oh, it's okay. I know it's a child thing. Why do men plant the seed and women have to take care of the kids?
Why do men plant the seed?
And women have to do all the work taking care of the kids.
Okay. Then I'm getting that a woman wrote this then. Why do men plant the flowers? Because they're asking why the men, and women have to water.
Yeah, that sounds like a kid analogy. Like, I planted it, it's all on you now. You go take care of it.
Let's go with that. Why do then women have to do all the work and then now go to work at the same time? Well, because you didn't pick a man.
Yeah, and you're falling for the, whatever ploy of, oh, you're supposed to do it, all the women's supposed to do it. That's not true. It's a ploy. It's a society made up thing. Kids are both of yours, and you can share the raising of them and the taking care of them. But like the society thing about it, like women are supposed to do it. I had one just the other day. What was she saying? It was like, well, I've been doing all the work all the whole time, and I've been taking care of the child the whole time, and he goes to work, and I've been taking care, and now I want to, where we both help out. And I'm like, well, the child's like a teenager now, and if you want him to, you're going to have to get out of the building. If you want him to take care of this kid, you're going to have to get out of the building. But we take it on, like a lot of women just automatically fall into that. And then we train them to just expect we're going to do everything.
Now, let me ask you this, though. There's women that I feel do that because they like to complain. Like men that would help. They're trying to help. She's but then she's always complaining to other people how she does everything.
So they want to be the victim. Right.
Yeah, like a Munchausen's by proxy without actually hurting your child, where you're doing it. I do everything and he won't. And then I try to do everything and you're pushing me away from doing it just so you have the right to complain.
So here's maybe more of a scientific version is that a lot of people are anxious. Okay. And when you're a new parent, you're going to have a lot of anxiety and you're going to try to do things perfect. And there's a lot of, especially moms out there trying to be the perfect mom in the whole wide world. So you start to get very controlling. And in your anxious head, you're thinking, if it's not done this way, whether it be diaper changing or feeding or entertaining or whatever, if it's not done this way, my child's going to be ruined. So then if the guy tries to help out, it's not going to be the exact way you want him to help you out. And so you're like, never mind. I'll do it myself. You can't do it as good as me. So I think really it comes from an anxiety point of view for the female to think like, I can't ruin this child, so I guess I have to do everything myself. But it's not logical or rational. It's just an anxiety point of view because it's not even halfway accurate at all.
Well, that's why I just do things and get yelled at later, even though they turned out okay. Even though I just do it. She's like, wait, don't do that unless I'm with you to do it. But I said, but then it's never going to happen. Never going to happen. You're never going to be there. Never. So I'm just going to go do it. And it's going to turn out exactly how it turns out. And then whether you like it or not, which you won't like it, we're going to find out that it'll be fine in the long run.
And it's actually better because you got to let that child bond with their other parent. Yeah. And if you're all controlling and up in there and your fingers in whatever's going on there and you can't let that parent do things alone, that child's not going to really have a good bond with them. And then they're going to grow up with issues. So you have to let the child bond. You have to go off duty sometimes and let the other parent take over, even if it's not as good as you did. And you cannot complain about it. You cannot say, oh, well, you didn't do it like this and you didn't do it like that. That is not cool. Not cool at all. And that child's not being helped at all by you taking control and doing everything yourself.
Well, we had a little thing happen because our situation was much different. We had to decide once she went back to work, whether she was going back to work. So I just cut my road time to nothing. And we came to a point where we had to bring in a nanny and have her with other people because she wasn't going to anybody. It was hooked to mine.
She wasn't used to other people at all.
So we had a nanny come in once a week or twice a week, grandma, and we got her out there with everybody else. And I haven't seen her since. Okay. So that was it. I haven't seen her since. So she's running around doing tie-dye right now. So at 18.
So you did good. See, good job.
Yeah. Well, but she's drunk while she's doing it. So, okay. This one's long. And they did something I hate on this one. And then we're going to do the commercials right after I read this, and we can think about it. How do you teach children to be honest when parents don't always tell the truth? First of all, I want to punch this person in the face for saying always tell the truth to each other or their children. Example, Santa Claus, and you don't look fat in that. And by the way, they put an E on Santa Claus, which makes me just want to punch them in the face. Okay. Here's 2 commercials, and then we'll start.
Voted Michiana's #1 restaurant, Doc Pierce's will open on Monday, May 18th, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Carryout will also resume with service to your car or walk-in. Come in and enjoy all Doc's classic dishes and appetizers, plus daily specials and drinks. Call 574-255-7737 for reservations, carryout, or curbside. We politely request that all guests wear a mask while entering and exiting the restaurant. Our goal is to ensure the safety of both our staff and our guests. Doc Pierce's The Doctor is In.
And now this one.
Hannibal Greatneck III walked into his new 6th grade class, and there was a cage. It sat among the desks like a benign tumor everyone had learned to try and ignore. There was a mystery here, and Handy was just the 11-year-old detective for the job. Don't Feed the Bully, the best-selling tween novel by Brad Tassell. Get it on Kindle or paperback at Amazon.com.
Okay, before I hand this over to you, I have 2 bones to pick with this question. Number 1 is that there's a huge difference between the fables and fairy tales and fun we have with our kids as they grow that aren't true and lying and teaching them to be liars and stuff like that. It drives me nuts when people do this because, of course, those people are also liars too. And there's no E in Santa Claus. I know personally. And I blame Steve and Leo. Steve and Leo are 2 comedians from Chicago who moved to LA, and they wrote the Santa Claus with Tim Allen because they put that E on the, and we live 15 years in Santa Claus. It drives me nuts that people put the E on there. So, okay, go.
But there's a reason they put the E on the end of that one. All right. Yeah. I get it. You get it, but not everybody gets it. All right. I'm with you. Lying is actually, it's considered an anxiety-related behavior, okay? So lying is what people do when they're afraid of the reaction or consequence should they tell the truth. That's called lying, okay? Purposely creating a story to either teach your child values or entertain your child is not considered lying. Okay. But then they had like 2 examples on that question. And one was like, does this make me look fat? If you're going to alter your answer because you're afraid of what the reaction would be, then, and you say, no, you look awesome. Okay, that's a lie, right? But are you hurting someone with that lie? Because you need to keep that in consideration too. Communication is not black and white. It's not like just say this and be honest no matter what. It's an art. It's a creative art. So you have to be creative when you're talking. And if you're a scary parent and you want your children to be honest and tell you if they've done something wrong or made a mistake, if you're going to be reactive and scary and get mad, then they're not going to. Yeah, they're going to lie because they're human and nervous. And that's the number one thing I tell people. They're like, oh my God, I hate when people lie. I hate when people lie. I have a thing about lying. If they lie, oh my God, if they lie, it's like terrible. And like, they wouldn't be lying to you if they weren't afraid of you. Don't be scary then. If you don't want people to lie to you, don't be scary.
And I think that's important too. But this whole thing about this lie of Santa Claus, look, it strengthens your character when, as you grow up and you get more mature and you learn how to deal with things, that you deal with, okay, Santa Claus is not real. Okay, I'm sad, but I grew up with this great thing that's very exciting, even though it's not necessarily true, but we created kind of a fun lore around it. And the tooth fairy and all these things, they grow your character. They don't hurt it. And when you're a little kid, it's fun to know those things. And then by the time you become older, it doesn't matter that it's not real because into the fiction.
Let me tell you, and you can tell me like how you explained it to your daughter or what the story was. But so when my kids were young, of course, it was the Santa Claus, and we're talking about that. And as they got older, I started adding more factual information to the lore, to the folk tale, using like the origins, or in this country this, or that country that. They hung their socks by the whatever traditions, and then we talk about other. So like it just became more able to be understood later. And then the image of the Santa Claus, like as they got older, that kid image of Santa Claus was just like a silly symbol for Santa Claus that, there's a historic story behind where it came from and why they did these traditions and things like that. And then it's not really lying, and it's not even really making it up. You're just giving your young ones a really simplified version of a very interesting folk tale that exists in many cultures.
Well, in my family, my daughter at 6 had read the entire Dilbert series. So she intellectually knew very young that it was all kind of fake, because we also discussed where things came from, and she was really into facts and figures. So she kind of knew, but you don't talk about that, until you get to be 11 or 12. And then there is no discussion needed to be had, because she already knew that in the late Norman Rockwell's creating this picture, and that other places around the world have different Santa Clauses. But I got to tell you this story. She was about 12, already knew obviously there was no Santa. And we were on a cruise for Christmas Day. We had flown out 2 days before, and we had told her she had gotten all her gifts. So the morning of Christmas Eve, we were in Progreso, Mexico. She wanted to stay on the ship. We were in a balcony cabin, which was rare. My wife and I go out and buy every Christmas thing they had. Every tree, every decoration, more gifts. We had smuggled on, because I had an extra cabin because I worked there, all these gifts for her. She fell asleep that night in the cabin. I decorated the entire cabin, lights, everything, tree, gifts everywhere. When she woke up that morning, I will never forget the wonder and the joy and the magic in her eyes. She believed it was all there. And it wasn't
miracle.
It wasn't a miracle. And it wasn't about believing in a specific guy, Santa Claus, but the entire concept around every bit of it, that the world has magic, that the world can have these good things. And I will never forget that look in her eyes, and I will never see it again.
That's a cool little story. I can imagine, like, as you're talking, I'm imagining her waking up and going like, oh, just being amazed. That's so cool.
It was so beautiful. She was 12 and she's not 12. She's 18. Okay. How often, God, I literally, this question a million times. How often do you have sex after you have kids? Whenever you can, man.
I know it might be less frequent. You got little folks running around, but yeah.
Well, you got to wait till she's ready. You got to wait that 6 weeks. I'm amazed with people who have kids like 9 months apart. What the hell?
Yeah, right.
Get off of her for a day.
I know. Right? Recovery. We need to recover a little.
But then after that, you need sometime, and you need after a while, after so many months of like, get somebody in to watch the kid. Yeah. Do so, you know what I mean?
Like those are control issues.
Yeah. Yes. Wow. Literally, the next question: how do you keep up a sex life with the kids? Literally, both times.
Do I get to write a book about this? How to have sex after you have kids? Like how to keep your sex life going after you have children. Where there's a will, there's a way. How about that?
Where there's a will, there's a way. And where there's a will, there's a lot of relatives looking to watch you to die. And then, could you believe this? Look, why is it the woman's place to clean inside? We're back to the flower question.
Oh, see?
It's place to clean inside the house and supposed to clean and help outside too. Well, it depends. Yeah, somebody else should be mowing the lawn. But
what did you have? Like, this isn't 1950 or something, right? Like, you did these shows in the recent past, right? I don't know who you're like. Where is this? These are cavemen. Like, who are you?
Well, and this is the last one, and I think we're going to hold this one.
The
next show. What?
It's a teaser.
And it's the same. Again, I literally get this question so many times. That's why I didn't hear. How do I get my husband to stop asking me? Remember, but this is different, to poke his butt.
Cliffhanger.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be the first question when we get back. How do I get my husband to stop asking me to poke his butt? Have you ever heard that in your life?
Please
don't answer that question. Hopefully next week we'll have a couple come in and talk to us about that too. Donna Wilburn, thank you very much. I hope you've had a good day.
So good. Thanks, Brad. Take care of yourself.
All right. We will see everybody next week. Thank you so much. And let's hope the world heals. All right. Bye. And that's the end of the broadcast. Bye, folks.